Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Alright, so this is my second video today. Make sure you go back and watch the first video because it talks about what this white support line is. After coming up at our second attempt through the top of the daily Gaussian channel here, we got rejected off of the 100 daily, I believe is right. The 100 daily moving average is where we got rejection here and dumped back down to this support level. So go back and watch the previous video and we'll talk all about that at the very end actually. But I discuss in detail what is going on with Bitcoin price action in the grander scheme of things, and which directly relates to the hourly, where we're going now currently in this hourly time frame. But in order to know where we're going here, a lot of times it's important to zoom out to the daily, to the weekly, and so on and so forth, so that you understand the real picture. And I go into detail on that on the previous video. Anyway, so here we are today. First attempt through the top of the daily Gaussian channel. We got all the way up to the top of the weekly Gaussian channel, this red dashed line here. Got rejected off of that. Even saw some action here on the 5-day Gaussian channel. That's the top there. Anyway, got rejected off the weekly. Top of the weekly came back down, fell through into the daily Gaussian channel between the mean band and the top here. Second attempt to break through, got rejected off of the 100 daily moving average and found support here on its key level. Which leads me to believe that our third time through here is going to be a charm. Maybe by the end of the day we break through here, but I don't imagine that we go anywhere over the weekend. Or possibly we do get that. Let's see where we're trading on the daily. Friday started right here. Okay, so Friday started right here. We end up somewhere up here, maybe. So that would lead into the Bitcoin CME futures gap scenario, where we create a gap over the weekend right here in this area, or maybe even up more. Maybe possibly we break through these resistances that I talked about in the last video. So that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to get through all these resistances, all these lines that I have drawn here within these two green circles. I've discussed this in the previous video. That's what we're working on right now. But say we create this gap over the weekend. I go over that in a couple videos back, but it actually got something mixed up. I was looking at the hourly time frame, so but anyway, the scenario is still valid on the daily, which is what I should have been discussing it on. I don't know what I was looking at. So we create a gap here, and the narrative is that we have to fill the gaps, which is it's a bunch of BS as far as I'm concerned. It's one of those like self-fulfilling prophecy things where once you do it, you just always have to do it, and it has to get filled. But It's not really any reason for it. There's some convoluted reason about liquidity and whatever soaking it up. I don't know. But anyway, say we fill a gap, or we don't fill a gap. We create a gap, and then we create a situation where uh, shorts are just keep shorting, thinking uh, with leverage probably is thinking that this gap needs to get filled, and it never does, and they get liquidated, short squeeze, boom, short squeeze, long squeeze, or shorts get liquidated, longs get liquidated, and then boom, we continue onwards and upwards. So that's that. I do see price action continuing on in this parallel channel marked by these lavender lines and in these green circles, working on all this. But what I really think will happen will come up here over the weekend, kind of trade sideways, and then have a stab at this next week. Got the CPI data release here, so that's what I see in the near future. More than likely, just continued action in the zone. Um, Now, what is worthy of noting is that on the BBWP indicator here, I got to zoom out here. We've had keep attempting to expand off of low volatility. We have been since mid-September, since early September, trying to expand off of low volatility on the 2-day and not quite getting anywhere. We had a little bit of a move there, but not quite really making much of it. And so currently we are back down at 15.87. Oh, look at that. Why don't I just keep it here? It's probably better. Heading back down to the slow range, and this closes. Oh, can't keep it here because we got to see when it closes. It closes Saturday. I know that anyway. In a day and a half, it closes. So that's heading back to low volatility. But all the other time frames, 5-day here is at 6.35, looking to expand. And you should already know all this. Everybody talks about how tight we are, but they don't really show the extent of it. So this closes on Saturday as well. The 5-day does. Um, the weekly, we are at. Oh, I'm sorry. I switched to a daily. That didn't make any sense to me right there. On the weekly, we are at 5.95%. Of course, that closes in 2.5 days. And now, though, even if you go to the biweekly, we're only at 0.4%. Now, when you zoom out, we've never, ever, 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 ever been that low in the whole entire history of Bitcoin on the biweekly chart. This is going to be an explosive move when this happens. And I guarantee you it's not going to be an explosive move to zero or 4,000 or 10,000 or whatever. People that are talking about that kind of crap are idiots. It's funny when you hear all these people so talk, they think they're being all intellectual. They're not. They're just making things complicated, and you don't. Just because you make something more complicated doesn't mean you're having an intelligent discussion about it. It just means you're wasting your time. Here we are on the monthly too. Monthly's at 10.7, almost below that arbitrary 10% line. You know, keep that in mind. Still at extreme lows, and I think probably, let's just zoom in on this chart. Are we at the lowest? No, we've been below the 10% line back here in April of 2020. Then what happened then? Do you know what happened then? So, other than that, we are at the second lowest. Here, when we expanded, that's when we dumped it back in April, May, June of 2022. But here is when we pumped in 2020. And all these other times we pumped, we didn't even get to extreme lows. So this is going to be a big move. So let me stop for a minute and gather my thoughts. So that's interesting. As we've been talking, we got this little dump here on the hourly. Let's go to 5 minute, of course. Yeah, see, it's just right there. Yep, right there at 5:30, 12:30 world time, and coming back up off of that. And that's just because just in the labor market's still hot as U.S. gained 336 jobs in September. So an expected 170, so 336, quite a bit more. But everything else, 3.8 unemployment was a little bit 0.1% more than what was expected. So, and here hours 0.2, whatever. Everything else is just normal. And these job numbers are always way off, and they always get readjusted and stuff like that. So anyway, this is good. This is saying there's not going to be whatever people are worried about them raising rates higher. I don't think they're going to raise rates higher because, and even if they do, maybe another 0.25%. But they're doing fine the way they are. Everything's doing fine, and this is representing the good economy that we have and why we're not going into a recession. Despite the doomers and gloomers, they want to keep you afraid. And okay, that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. Everybody's talking about where's the money going to come from that comes to the market. There's not going to be any money. The M2 money supply, there needs to be quantitative easing. All these doomers and gloomers that are trying to paint a doom and gloom scenario, a recession scenario. They're always talking about something bad right around the corner. Those people have money on the side. There's plenty of money on the side. And what they want you to do is sell to them and buy at these low prices. I'm not doing it. Do whatever you want. But whoever's selling right now is not going to get their Bitcoin back or whatever. Maybe their other cryptos they might. But so that's where the money is going to come from. All these people, anybody talking negatively about the market has plenty of money on the side, and they will feed the FOMO. They will FOMO in once things get going. You want their money to FOMO and move price up, not yours. They're trying to get you out of the market so that you FOMO it and move price up. Okay, that's the game. Be smart. Um, so that's enough about that. Anyway, I wanted to tie in. I ran out of time on my last video. I wanted to tie in what's going on the crypto market. Now we're on the 5 minute. We don't want to be there. We at least want to be on the daily. Same thing's going on with the crypto market that's going on with Bitcoin. I got a lot of lines here drawn, but essentially, um, see the three little red things, the head and shoulders pattern, kind of sloppy, kind of got sloppy here at the end. But essentially, it's the same. It's a reversal pattern. We're reversing out of this downward trend marked by these parallel channels and into this trend marked by these really fine parallel channels and this much bigger one here. Um, and actually, since is it worth saying? Since June, well, June's where we kind of hit the top of this channel. Well, I didn't. This isn't even. I just. Blah, blah, blah. I just drew this. It doesn't really have any. I didn't tie it into anything here. I kind of just copied it from the width of these little things and threw it up there just as a guide. But you can see how price action follows right along there. And actually, if you zoom in here, let me just go here like this. It makes it easier. You can see really clearly how price action trades here. Like, look at this. Here in this channel, here in this channel, we hit all these center lines and tops and bottoms of the channels pretty clearly. And anyway, the importance of looking at this is because if you zoom out once again, I don't want to go to a weekly because some of these channels change on a weekly depending on how I've drawn them. They get skewed a little bit funnily. So here we are right down here at the bottom of the channel. And so these are all parallel to price action. And why that's significant, because that's where we are here. This is the lows back here. And the low, I started the channel right here at the very low of the chart. That's as far back as the chart goes. And you can see the only time we came through it is at the COVID crash. And that was, briefly. We're on a daily chart now. So, well, a few weeks. It was a few weeks we traded below that. Other than that, we've been above there. So that's why we came right down to here. It's as far down as we're going to go, I believe, and onward and upwards here, and pretty much follow the same as Bitcoin. Now, this solid yellow line is the top of the neckline of this head and shoulders reversal pattern. Once we break that, I think we start moving up more quickly up into the lavender, up into this area right here. Well, this green arrow is the target of a breakout from the head and shoulders pattern. Yeah, so maybe up around this area by the end of the year, around just over $500 million, 5.5 billion, or 550 billion. There you go, half a trillion for the crypto market cap minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right, so we talked about crypto market cap. We talked about extreme low volatility across various time frames. We talked about Bitcoin a little bit. DXY, that's what I wanted to talk about. So DXY is now. Oh, it pumped. Oh, look at that. It pumped on the market numbers, the labor market numbers. Wow, that's funny. Huh. Well, there goes my discussion of that. Yeah, look at that nice little pump on the hourly time frame. But It's already coming back. Let's see, 5 minute. See, this is artificially inflated. This is a bunch of everybody else is. You've heard others say, I'm sure, that it's a basket of shit. We're the least smelly shit in a basket of shit. Um, Whatever. So, um, other than that little pump, which we'll come right back down off of that, because those unemployment numbers aren't a big deal. People are just overreacting to it. That they don't really mean a lot, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, we went a little bit higher on the DXY than we had thought. I didn't think we would really get through this pink line. I thought, we could go a little bit about it, but I thought we would see a rejection around 106. But we did come up here to 107. Oh, so yeah, so I thought maybe we could come up to this white trend line here, or possibly the purple channel. I thought those would be our ultimate targets. If you zoom in here on the daily, you can see that we kind of pretty much did hold these, at least on a closing basis. But currently we are coming up above it again because of this ridiculous numbers. But we'll close way back down here again, I'm sure. Uh, so that's that. Went a little bit higher than I expected. I extended my this purple parallel channel downwards to parallel channel, extended it over a little bit to the right, and I originally thought this green we'd do something like this green line. So it's now time to move that over to the right a little bit. Let's see, it's right about there. So let's move it. You know what? Let's move it over here like about like that, so that we have it coming up and hitting this major support and resistance line that goes back decades, and I've talked about that time and time again. So yeah, I think maybe we'll do a little something like that with the Dixie. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. I think I talked about everything I want to talk about. Let's go back. Let's get off of this stupid thing because it doesn't have a lot to do with us. Oh, and you know what? Bitcoin's coming down a little bit more too. Let's go on the hourly real quickly. Hourly, and put our thing on here. All right. So look at that. See, we hopefully we're either going to bounce here off the bottom of this channel, or maybe off the mean band of the daily Gaussian channel too. So just another excuse to dump and play off of people's fears because of one little number. Anyway, I'll leave it at that and see what happens the rest of the day and the weekend. And like, subscribe, share, and tell a friend. All right. See you next time.